right. For today, our agenda and speakers are going to be starting with Jane Woodward, and then moving on to our interim provost of Shawna Young, who will be talking about leadership transitions, as well as then moving on to Sehi, who will be, Sehi Huang, who will be at our talking about the changes happening in the College of Extended Education, leadership transitions and priorities. Then we'll be moving on to Heather Madar, who is the Associate VP of Academic Programs. We'll be talking about academic programs and the Cal Poly transition. And then Cassidy Vanaducci, Director of Planning, Design and Construction. We'll be talking about campus facilities and building projects. And then we will take questions from the audience. I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Jane.
Welcome, everybody. Delighted to have you here today. And I want to mention, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. You can also raise your hand if you think it's an immediate issue of personal crisis that you need to have that question answered, but otherwise put it in the chat and we'll deal with it at the end. I'm happy to introduce you to Shawna Young, who's in her 7th year at Cal Poly Humboldt, initially as Dean of the College of Professional Studies, then Dean of the College of Extended Education. She was recently appointed the Interim Provost. She came to Humboldt from another CSU campus, 17 years at Stanislaus State, where she spent her faculty career teaching in kinesiology, she should be right at home here, teacher education, and the doctoral program in educational leadership. She transitioned into administration while at Stanislaus, with her most recent position there as Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs. Shawna loves talking about both colleges, professional studies, and extended education, and is excited to talk about what makes each one unique to the other colleges at the university, what unifies them, how they complement and synergize with each other, and how CPS and CEE specifically can help shape the future of Cal Poly Humboldt. And of course, now she has an even broader agenda, becoming Associate Interim Pro. We're wishing her a lot of luck. And Shawna, it's now all yours, and I'll let you introduce the people who come next as they come.
Great. And as you were reading that, Jane, I was like, oh, yes, that was back in September, I think, when we wrote that and life was different. And the presentation has evolved since then. And so I thank you for that introduction, Jane. I was most recently in a dual role in the College of Professional Studies and Extended Education. And I'm happy today, after a few remarks that I want to share about university transitions in leadership, I'm going to share some observations of some of my observations of our new president, Richard Carvajal, and I'll share a few priorities that I came into this interim provost role with. And then I will be excited to pass off to 3 colleagues that I adore working with. And so let me share first. I guess I really want to share why I came to Humboldt just briefly, because it is so related to where we are continuing to head as an institution through this polytechnic transformation and preparing for our next strategic plan and visioning under our new president. When I initially came to Humboldt, when I applied for the dean position at the College of Professional Studies, I was already in love with the College of Professional Studies because before I even got to campus. And the reason why was because every program that is in the college either requires or has as an option an internship, a clinical experience, a practicum, a field experience where students take what they learn in a classroom and apply it in a hands-on real world situation that is professionally based, related to the the field that they are studying, so that every student leaves the university with their degree in hand, job and career ready. Once I got here, I learned that that goes on in one way or another in all of our programs across all of the colleges, whether it's a practicum, an internship, a field experience, lab research with faculty, whatever the experience, that is going on in every program on our campus. And I see that now in this interim provost role, and it just makes me fall in love with our university more and more every day. I'm going to talk in a minute about falling in love with this university even more so in the last 3 months. But I first want to share some observations that I have made of our new president. I have nothing but absolute, genuine, positive thoughts about our new president. And I honestly would not mention this had these not been my true observations and just positive feelings. He has been listening carefully to everyone. He has been engaged. He has been present. He has been showing up, and he has been supportive of his VPs in all the ways needed in order to do our daily work, including really big projects, which I'll share one of which in a moment. He's been seeking feedback from all of those who he has been meeting with, feedback about who we are as an institution, how we define ourselves, where we need to improve, and our vision as a polytech. This listening period has actually served as the beginning of his process of launching us into our next strategic planning process. So that by this time next year, we will have our new strategic plan for the next 5 years. When I came into this interim provost role, which actually was the same date that President Carvajal started at Cal Poly Humboldt, I had 5 immediate priorities. They were clear as day to me, and I communicated them with every one of the groups with whom I work with in the role. And I will just share really quickly what those 5 priorities are and where we stand with them. As interim provost coming in on January 20th, the singularly most important institutional priority at that time in the moment was preparation for and participation in a successful institutional accreditation site visit, which just was completed this last week, April 15th through 17th. That was literally the most important thing on the docket for the provost at this point in time. And that just concluded this last week very successfully. The site review team was very engaged, was impressed by our campus engagement and preparation for this visit, where they asked us probing questions about where we have been and where we are heading as an institution and our preparation for this new polytechnic vision that we are developing. A second priority is continuing to support the successful progress toward completion of our polytechnic build out. And Heather's going to talk a little bit more about our status on that priority. A third priority of the provost at this time has been doing everything possible to ensure our fiscal health of our division. And by ensuring the fiscal health of our division, of the Division of Academic Affairs, that really is an important component of the fiscal health of the university, because the Division of Academic Affairs accounts for more than half of the university's budget. So how we make decisions in academic affairs and being responsible stewards of our resources is critical to the fiscal health of the institution. The fourth priority that I came to the role with was partnering with essential teams on campus to do what we can to continue a positive trend in enrollment. And, we experienced a 4.23% increase in enrollment this year from last, and projections based on applicants and our admissions and acceptances, we're projecting a 4.7% increase in enrollment again next year. We're currently at 5,754 full-time equivalent students this fall of 2025. Anyway, so that is essential work of folks in academic affairs to partner with other units on campus to continue that positive trend. And then my personal and fifth priority is that we have fun doing all of this shared work together. And I will say that this whole preparation for our WASC Senior College and University Commission accreditation site visit this past week, I think is a perfect example of how we at Cal Poly Humboldt can do all of the hard work that is necessary, but when we do it together, we can have a blast at the same time. And we had so much fun singing our praises to the review team this past week. And I'm just so proud of us as a university, as an institution, and thoroughly enjoy working with the people that I get to work with on a daily basis at Cal Poly Humboldt and serving our magnificent students. With that, I'm going to pass it on to Sehi to talk about some transitions going on in the College of Extended Education. Oh, and before I do, Sehi, I just wanted to mention, as I left the College of Professional Studies, of course, we also have an interim dean there. Some of you may know him. He was our associate dean, but Justice Ortega is now serving as the interim dean of the College of Professional Studies. Sehi. Oh, and you're muted, and I will mute.
Sorry. Hello, everybody. My name is Sehi Wang, and I currently serve as the Interim Dean of College of Extended Education. I have been in this role since January, since Dr. Young has moved on to the Interim Provost role. However, I am not new to Extended Education and OLLI. I've been in this office since 2021, and I've served as an Extended Education and OLLI Coordinator, Director of Programs, Interim Associate Dean, and now currently starting January, I've been serving as an Interim Dean. And I'm here to discuss the mission and priorities of our college. So before I get started discussing our college, I have to discuss where our mission comes from. Our mission comes from the Professional and Continuing Education Unit of the California State University. The Professional and Continuing Education connects California State University system with people in the community and beyond by offering degree programs, certificates, and enrichment courses online and in person. Our mission is to extend CSU's educational mission to the broader audiences. These include working professionals, remote learners, adult learners, military members, and lifelong learners. Our mission is to offer flexible learning format. So we often offer classes that are online, evening, weekends, shorter courses and programs. Our mission is to support workforce and career development. Most of our programs through extended education are industry-aligned programs. And then our mission is to promote lifelong learning, which include academic preparation, professional training, and personal enrichment. And our mission is to leverage the CSU campus's expertise to serve the local, regional, and global learning needs. And lastly, our mission is to partner with community industry partners that help to meet the workforce needs and create new learning opportunities. And then if we go to the next slide, so these are the types of programs that the College of Extended Education offers. Similar to academic colleges, we offer a bachelor's degree, master's degree, certificates, and credentials. However, we get to offer special session courses, which are one-off academic courses. We also offer professional development programs, Community programs, these are mostly for youth, like our studio school, which is an art camp for 5 to 13-year-olds. And we offer open university, which is for community members to enroll in stateside courses. And then of course we have OLLI in our college. And that is a great picture. I'm going to guess that's from the RV Northwood, yeah.
Actually, it was from the Humboldt Bay Fire tour. We took
Oh, okay.
the Humboldt Bay Fire Station. It was great.
Nice. And then if we go to the next slide, I just want to, so we offer similar programs just like other colleges. What makes us different from the other colleges that we are a self-support unit? So what does it mean to be a self-support unit? We are considered a college. However, we are an administrative unit within the university. The other 3 colleges, which are professional studies, natural resources and sciences, arts and humanities, and social science, are considered academic colleges. One of our missions is very workforce responsive. So we mostly cater to courses and programs that are workforce and professional development. We are financially separate from state-supported academic colleges. We do not receive any state funds. Everything that is for operational costs, everything is funded through student fees, contracts, grants, or corporate partnerships. And our revenue covers faculty pay, staff salaries, marketing, technology, administrative overhead, basically everything that helps this college operate. We can offer courses on a flexible schedule and modality. So one of the big part about extended education as a self-support unit is that we are a capacity to the university, which means that we are a mode of funding that can be used to create a wide range of degrees and non-degree programs. So what does it mean for C to be priority as a capacity? What does it mean to be a capacity? So C's priorities are to partner with the academic college to expand capacity by expanding program capacity. This means we have the ability to launch additional cohorts, offer new programs, serve working professionals, and grow without state allocations. This is important when demand exceeds state funded enrollments. We can also generate revenue for departments through revenue sharing models, which can provide funding for discretionary funds, support for student positions, equipment, faculty research support, bridge funding during hard financial times. And in some cases, self-support revenue can sustain innovation. We can increase program flexibility, flexible schedule on teaching modalities. We can adjust pricing structures, and we can respond to employer demands and launch programs a lot faster. We can reach, as a capacity, we would reach new student population and expand access. This would be working professionals, corporate cohorts, career changers, those that often need accelerated format due to industry or career demands and willing to pay for convenience and flexibility. And then we're able to pilot new programs with lower risk. We can test new programs, pilot a certificate program, strengthen industry partners, create stackable certificates that feed into stateside programs and serve as a recruitment pipeline. And so basically we support Cal Poly Humboldt to enable faster innovation. The university can quickly create new programs, formats, and partnerships, especially in emerging fields without being slowed down by traditional funding constraints due to our flexibility in our revenue stream. We can expand reach and impact, which allows the university to serve different audiences, as mentioned, working professionals, industry partners, those in workforce needs. And we can generate resources and flexibility. We can bring in new revenue and new fund initiatives, which help universities to grow programs and invest in priorities and stay competitive. So those are the main missions of the College of Extended Education. I think this has been a main mission all along, but we are looking more deeply and prioritizing it as we go on, with the new transition of leadership. But now I'm going to turn it over to our interim. Heather has the longest title, so I'm going to get it. The Interim Associate Vice President for Academic Programs and Dean of Undergraduate and Graduate Studies, Heather Madar.
Thanks. So it's nice to see you all today. So my name is Heather Madar, and as Sehi said, I have a long title. I'm also interim in this position. I've been in this position since August. However, I am not new to Humboldt. I've actually been at Humboldt since 2006. I started as an assistant professor in what was then the art department, now the art and film department. And I moved into an administrative role in about 2021. There was some part-time kind of moves in there. And I served as the Associate Dean in the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences for about 3 years until moving into this position in August. So I am here to talk a little bit today about our Polytechnic transformation, specifically focusing on our new programs connected to the Polytech. So just a kind of a recap that you're probably familiar with. So the Polytech transformation started all the way back in November 2020. So we were deep in the pandemic, and we received a formal invitation from the Chancellor's office to submit a proposal that included a rigorous self-study to consider a formal designation as a Polytech. So that led to a many months process of deep campus reflection and work to consider what that might mean for us, how that would work with our current institutional vision, and recognizing, and you'll probably remember this from that time, the kind of the recognition that we really already were a Polytech in all but name, and it actually made a lot of sense for us as an institution to pursue this official designation from the state and from the system. So we submitted a Polytechnic prospectus to the state, to the Chancellor's office in September of 2021, after this kind of months-long process of lots of different working groups, lots of consultation. And one of those working groups was specifically to consider what new academic programs we would need to launch. Part of the agreement with the Chancellor's office, and that we have reported on subsequently to this state every year, was a promise that we would roll out new Polytechnic programs, and they needed to be in 4 different categories. So those 4 categories: applied science, technology, and engineering. So for the Polytechnic launch and the first wave of programs, which was in 2023, we had a specific number of programs that we had to get to in each category. And then the commitment was that we would have 2 further waves of program launch by 2026 and by 2029, again, launching programs that fell into those 4 categories. So you can see on this slide the phase 1 programs, which were all launched for fall 2023. By 2026, we have an additional rollout of the phase 2 programs, which you can see in that middle column. And then by fall of 2029, we have an additional 3 programs, which you can see on that 3rd column. So what's interesting, and a sort of a realization that we all came to as part of really the work that we were doing around our reaccreditation, because one of the lines of inquiry that our accrediting body told us that they really wanted to focus on when they came for last week's site visit, was to really talk about where we were in our Polytechnic transformation, and also specifically where we were in terms of our program launch. And in doing all the kind of the tallying up of all of the programs that we had, that what we have launched, what we had promised, we realized that we, in fact, have at this point already exceeded the number of programs that we committed to the system and to the state that we would launch as part of our full Polytech rollout. So we are, in fact, already kind of in our thriving period as a Polytech. The total number that we have at the moment is that by fall 26, we will have launched 17 new Polytech degree programs. By fall 2029, we will have launched 20. Well, in terms of the graduates, we are actually just in the first wave of those programs in terms of anything that launched in fall 23. Those students are, unless they were transfer students, but really we're just seeing those first graduates now. So we don't yet have any data on how those students are doing, how those graduates are doing, but we should have that shortly. One of the things that we are hearing from the system that's going to be real focus from the Cal State system coming to us is precisely that question of how are our graduates doing, what are they doing, and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for the response about, how are graduates doing, especially the graduates from these new programs. So this is the kind of the entire scope of the programs. And one other thing to mention is that in terms of that, exceeding already what we had committed to launch as part of our academic Polytech build out. These are all degree programs. We've also launched additional minors. We've also launched additional certificates. Certificates are also something that we had the possibility to count towards the Polytech, but at this point, we have exceeded it with our degree program. So there's additional stuff that could be on this list as well. And of course, these are only the programs that we are counting as Polytech, which has specific meaning from a budgetary perspective and also in terms of this kind of annual accounting that we have to do to the state and to the system. We continue to launch other programs as well, but these are not on those lists because we're just focusing on Polytech today. So I also wanted to show you some additional details about the programs that we are launching for fall 26. So if we could go to the next slide. There we are. So we have 5 programs. We refer to them this year in the curriculum process as the Big 5 because they were the ones kind of moving through for launch in fall 26 as part of our big wave 2. The first program is called Applied Humanities. I won't go ahead and read. I'll leave this slide up so that you can read the kind of the blurb that gives the sort of basic explanation of the program there on the slide. Applied Humanities is going to be housed in the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. You can see an image here, which I really like, that person over there on the left with the blonde hair, that's Sarah Hart, who was the faculty member who was above all instrumental in the design and the launch of this program. And it shows her with some students there at Potawatomi. One of the things that really is a hallmark of our Polytechnic identity is that all of our programs, and Shawna alluded to this earlier, all of our programs are very much hands-on, experiential, and applied in their learning. So all of these programs feature, they may be internships, they may be service learning, they may be community-based learning, they may be practicums, but they all feature this core element of our Polytechnic identity, which is that they're hands-on and experiential, and also giving students real kind of work in the community as they're working on their academic degrees. So Applied Humanities exemplifies this. The students in this program will be required to complete 300 hours of service learning to complete this degree. And so this is a great picture of Sarah and some students out in the community doing some of this service learning, which is a hallmark of this program. There's a story that I like to tell about this program because, again, I think it really exemplifies some of the really forward thinking that the faculty who have been developing these programs have been doing. So Sarah actually, while developing this degree, actually went down to Silicon Valley and did some informational interviews with people at tech companies who are involved in hiring and had conversations with these people that basically went, kind of what do you want to see in graduates when you're looking for new hires? What kind of skills do you want them to have? And so that used the information that she got out of that in part to inform how she was working with other faculty to build this new program. So you will see that each of these programs also have some emphasis areas which allow students to kind of specialize and create the degree in accordance with some of their specific interests. So Applied Humanities has 3 emphasis areas: technology and human values, health humanities, and social responsibility. Let's go to the next slide. So another program launching for fall 26, also in the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, is critical agriculture and agroecology. So again, you see a kind of a description there of what are the key ideas of this program. This program also has some emphasis areas. Those emphasis areas are arts, environmental justice and politics, food, well-being and culture, ecologies and practices, and then leadership and sustainable economies. And the picture here again shows you this idea about students really engaged in hands-on learning, experiential learning, and out there, working at the farm site. Another thing I should mention too that's really a hallmark of these programs, particularly the ones launching in fall 26, is that they are all deeply interdisciplinary as part of their kind of really their DNA. It's not just that they're in one department, but they maybe take like a class in another department. These are programs that in many cases cross not only departments, but actually cross colleges. So the faculty member who was instrumental in launching this program, Dr. Renee Bird, engaged in a really thorough process of talking to colleagues across all three of our academic colleges, and then also talking with community members to find out about community needs. If we could go to the next slide. So you'll also see that there is a focus on health, and certainly with two of the programs that are launching in fall 26, and then also programs that are launching in our final by fall 29 wave. So Shawna can talk in more detail about this if anybody's interested, but it was very clear from our previous provost and some kind of work and development that our second wave would really focus on health. And so there was a task force that was convened to focus on health that was led by, Shawna already mentioned, the interim dean of the College of Professional Studies, Justice Ortega. So he convened this or led this task force, and that was made up of faculty members and also community members. They met for over a year and released a report at the end. And in that report, it included a report out of what we needed for additional programs that were specifically focused on health. And that was in response to not only what we were seeing in terms of academic trends and national trends in terms of need in relationship to health, but also specifically the kinds of feedback that we were getting from the community about what our community here on the North Coast needs in terms of health. And I'm sure we could all spend a whole nother hour and a half talking about all the needs that we have and that we see related to health on the North Coast. But they did that work. They had all those consultation. And so a couple of programs launching in fall 26, and then again, additional ones launching in fall 29 that need a little bit of a longer runway to launch related to health. The first one, community health. And you'll see that there are two emphasis areas in this program. Health advocacy, patient navigation is one, and then community health education is another. So we can go to the next slide. The next health focused program that is launching for fall 26 is health and medical sciences. This one has concentrations. There's a technical curriculum distinction between emphasis areas and concentrations, which we don't need to go into right now, but if anybody's curious, I'm happy to give you the lowdown on that. But this is an interesting interdisciplinary program that is very much a collaboration between the College of Professional Studies and also our College of Natural Resources and Sciences, and also includes some classes from the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences that is designed as a place for where students who know that they want to go into a health professions can go into this major and go into a concentration that will allow them to prepare for the medical field they are interested in entering. So you can see concentrations. There's one that is for pre-MD or DO. There's a pre-physical therapy, a pre-PA, pre-CLS, which is clinical lab sciences, and then a pre-pharmacy track as well. This also is a program that if students change their mind or they decide they want to go into something else, it was intentionally designed so students also have lots of different off-ramps, whether it's they decide, actually, I think I want to go into biology, that's more where I'm headed, or I want to go into a different kind of health-related field. Lots of opportunities for those students to go into different pathways and very intentionally designed. So, students change their mind. I changed my major a whole bunch of times when I was in undergrad. So very intentionally designed to be sort of student-friendly and student-focused in that way. And then last, but certainly not least, we are also launching a new graduate program in fall of 26 as part of this wave. And this is a STEM education MA, and it also has some emphasis areas, elementary education, secondary education, and then self-design studies of STEM education. Those are all the slides that I have. I wasn't able to keep up with the chat while I was talking, but I am going to pass this on over now to Cassidy, and then I'm happy to come back at the end and answer any questions specifically about the curricular stuff in our new programs. So, Cassidy.
Thank you, Heather. Hi, everyone. I'm Cassidy Banducci. I'm the Director of Planning, Design, and Construction. I'm the campus architect and also our deputy building official for the campus as well. So I wear many hats in this role, but I have the pleasure today of sharing with you some of the work that we have done and completed and the work that's still in our queue. It is a large portfolio of projects, so I unfortunately don't have enough time to share everything with you today, but I hope to hit the highlights and showcase some of the great work that we have going on. We can go to the next slide. So this is just a broad overview of kind of what our capital project portfolio looks like right now. As Heather talked us through the academic side, we're really working on the physical build out of what it means to be the Polytechnic. And so I get to share all of these projects with you, but in just the high level overview, we have over $700 million total in projects going on or have happened. We have spent some of that so far. So we have over 500,000 new square feet planned for the campus, over 100,000 renovated square feet planned for the campus as well. We plan to add additional beds to what we've already done at the student housing project, which I'll showcase next. So in total, around 1,300 new student beds. And we have at any given time around 85 active projects in various stages. And mind you, that's from small office remodels or space remodels to our most major of capital projects, which $200 million student housing projects. So we'll run through those. Next slide, please. So first, out of the gate, when we became the third Polytechnic, our president at the time was very focused on student housing. We realized that if we were going to grow as a campus, we really needed to increase our student beds so that as our population grew, we could support that growth. We have an aged inventory of housing, and so it was very critical for us to make sure that this housing project was one of the first projects that we delivered with the Polytechnic money. With that, we have Pinar Humalik student housing project. It is 964 total beds. There's just over 600 beds in the East building, and I think it's 354 in the West. The East building is currently occupied by our students. We're about 80–90% occupied in the East building, so we've had some great success with getting students over there. But the big story of this is this project is a rare project in the sake that it was delivered on time and on budget. And that doesn't happen in my world very often. So I wanted to share that with you all. There's a lot of success. How we created success in this project is through the delivery method. So the construction method of how we delivered this project with being primarily concrete. And then the precast panels, which you see on the exterior building skin of the elevations here in these images, those were all built off-site, brought in, and then erected to create the skin of the building. And then we were able to dry in our building very quickly and then do all the work on the interior. And that contributed heavily to the success of this project. But with that, I wanted to share some beautiful images of the project. If you haven't made your way over there or found yourself on the Annie Mary Trail and cut over to the project, I encourage you to do so. It is the project looks really great. The landscaping is growing in, and there's a lot to see and check out over there. So with that, the top left image is one of our original renderings. You can see some of the canopies in that image there. I really wanted to bring some human scale to the project. That was really important to me, to create some refuge for people like in our rainy and foggy climate, to provide that protection, a little bit of shade, and just and bringing again that scale down to the human level, because we knew that we were going to build a very tall buildings that people aren't familiar, as used to in our community. And so it was really important that when you are on site, that you have a bit more of that human scale, personal experience and connection with the building instead of it just being a large tower. So those canopies kind of reach out in the muse, what we call the section in the middle. And in the middle of the two buildings is really where we wanted to build the community piece of this. Students are living off campus, not, so we wanted to make them feel like they had a community here and have that connection when they get back to campus as well. So the Muse has all the student focused elements to the project. The laundry's off of the Muse, exercise room, there's conference rooms. And then in the middle, kind of middle bottom with the big H in the foreground, there is a huge bicycle barn so that students can park their bikes. I think it's close to 300 bikes in that bicycle barn. They can also charge their electric bikes in there. So again, trying to promote that connection, use of the trail, and our pathways back to campus. Other images in here are the east courtyard, which this one's a little bit more inward facing. It has the three wings that kind of encapsulate that space. So we kind of wanted this to be kind of a reflective or more quiet, peaceful courtyard, whereas the west building is an L-shaped building, and it is more focused with views to the west and the sun setting. So it is more open, kind of amphitheater, grassy knoll area, which we'll get to that in the next slide here. I did want to point out real quick, 101 Express, that's the image on the bottom right. There is a market there. It is open to the community, so anybody can go into the market and shop and grab a meal there. Let me go to the next slide. Sorry, I'll try not to spend as much time on these. Oh, I should have mentioned, so we did phase the project, so that's why the east building opened up first. And then the construction team continued to work on the west building. So you see here that we completed this project at the end of December of last year, again, on schedule. So here you can see some more images of the exterior spaces and those canopies, the great sunlight that we get into that interior muse and the courtyards. We also have some large logs in the middle of that muse that kind of replicate some of our natural materials in our community. Okay, next slide. So that brings us back onto campus, the engineering and technology building. So this is our academic build with the Polytechnic funds. It is a 3-story, 72,000 square foot mass timber academic building. This is the first mass timber academic building in the CSU system. Again, thinking about the experience of this space in this building of being one of our flagship buildings for the Polytechnic, it was extremely important to me to bring in some of the vernacular materials of our community, so that being wood. And I know you're seeing a lot of expressive concrete on the exterior here. But as we move into the building, we can go to the next slide. You'll see some of the wood, the mass timber really starting to show. This is some of the other elevations on Harp Street and B Street. So a mix of exterior materials, concrete, wood, and metal panels. We really wanted to ensure that we were building a building that was going to last for generations. It's a minimum of 50 years, but this building should last us well over 100 years, as some of our other buildings on our campus do. So with that, let's move into the interior. I have some interior slides here, and these are all renderings right now. And so again, starting to get that feel of that mass timber, the warmth. We have really tall ceilings for the programs that are going in there. So I failed to say that, but we have engineering and technology programs. We'll be relocating some of those functions from Alistair McCrone Hall into this building. So we have a full wood shop, maker space, metal shop. So again, a lot of hands-on learning and experimentation in this building. We have computer labs to support the computer science program, and it's going to be a wonderful space. We have a lot of student-centered spaces as well, so what we call like informal or like sticky spaces. So you'll start to see some of those in the images, where students can meet and gather outside of the classroom and still be a part of the building. You know, hanging out in the furniture. We've got a little break area in that top right image that has like a small kitchenette. The intent is that the larger hallways in this space and open spaces outside of the classroom can become exhibit areas for showcasing work of all the hands-on items that they have created. In addition to that, daylighting is extremely important in our climate as well. And so we have a lot of glass on the exterior, but we also have the whole center of the building is lined with beautiful skylights, bringing lighting deep into the core of the building. And so on that bottom right image there, you're seeing a section of the building, and you can kind of see the stairs kind of escalating up through the center. And it was really important to us to like draw people in. So the first floor is like a half floor, and then it steps up to the second and third layers. And so once you arrive at the stairs on the top left image of the building, you're immediately drawn up to that second floor. And then on that second floor, there's another grand staircase going up to the third floor. Now, let's go to the next project. So Jenkins Hall, as I mentioned before, we're investing in our existing inventory as well. This is a semi-dated photo because it still has some construction fencing up around it. But Jenkins Hall started as a project even before the Polytechnic, and it was going to be an all-school classroom or building. And once we started to plan out the future of the campus through our physical plan update and through feasibility studies of what we needed to develop to support the new programs, as Heather had outlined, it became clear that we needed to also consider some of our existing inventory as being renovated to support some of our existing programs as well. We have a lot of deferred maintenance on our campus as well. And so this was an opportunity for us to rehome ceramics and sculptures into the Jenkins Hall building. And fun fact, I think at its very origins, there was ceramics in this building when it first opened. So it's kind of come full circle. It used to be the Industrial Technology Building. It sat vacant for some time. So this is a treasure. I love Jenkins Hall. I think this was a great project. We can go to the next slide and showcase some of the interior modifications that have been done in the inside. So again, supporting the ceramics and the sculptures program. They both had buildings, kind of the lower foothill below campus apartments on the west side of our building. And so we basically gutted the interior, we exposed the concrete walls, we exposed the redwood roof, and we just let it be an industrial space. And so you can see through the images on the upper left of the ceramics room with the wheels there. The image below that on the left is one of the shops for sculptures. Outside of that, they have where they do all the heavy firing, and so we have big roll-up doors to open up the indoor space to the outdoor space, these enclosed patios that allows them to work outside and do all their hot work on those patios. And then on the right-hand side, you're seeing all the electric kilns. So we have a room specifically just for electric kilns. And then on the exterior, on the east side of the building, we have a patio that has all the gas kilns. So this turned out to be a great project, or great renovation project. Again, if you're on campus and you feel like walking through the building, I highly encourage it. The students have made it their own. There's projects everywhere. It's very lively, and it just turned out really great. Okay, next slide. So, Health Education Hub. Heather mentioned health programs in her presentation. This project is located at the Stewart Building. The Stewart Building is a historic or aged building, 100 years old, across the street from Arcata High School. And the foundation purchased this building with the intent of the university bringing it stateside and for us to put programs into it. There's a little bit of a shift. The Health Education Hub did start at our Samoa facility on Samoa Boulevard. We were coming up against a lot of structural improvements that were creating some budget busts for us. So we re-strategized and brought the Health Education Hub to the Stewart Building. What's great about this location is its proximity to the high school, the proximity to our campus. It already has adjacent resources like being nestled in the community, transportation, and those sorts of things that I think support the program better than had it been out on our Samoa facility. So this is a partnership with College of the Redwoods. This was another major investment from the state. The state had gifted College of the Redwoods and Cal Poly Humboldt funding to do this partnership. And the hope is that this creates new opportunities for our students and our community for health-related fields. So our primary focus right now is to invest in the nursing program. So College of the Redwoods will be relocating their nursing program from their Tompkins Hill site to this location. And then as additional funding becomes available, we'll expand. Cal Poly Humboldt will have more of a presence down here, and we'll just have this wonderful synergy between our nursing programs and our health-related fields, where we can come together as these two campuses and train students. And hopefully they stay and live and work in our community and provide us those health services. We can go to the next slide as well. The floor plans that you're seeing here is that initial phase. You can see a lot of stuff in gray that still has plans for building out the rest of the building. As I mentioned, those funds becoming available. The idea is that we have a high fidelity simulated lab spaces as well outside of the nursing program. All of these things work together, right? So we would also have the EMT and paramedic program move out here. There would be a VR room, so like a black box that can project on all four walls, at-home simulation. And then in addition to having simulated at home, or I guess they could simulate anything. They could just simulate an emergency on a boat, and they could do that in that VR box room. There was also be some clinical spaces to simulate clinic space. And then there will be, sorry, I lost my train of thought. We'll have classrooms, a large classroom, a small classroom, and we also have a day in the life space. So imagine like IKEA, when you walk through IKEA and there's like a whole living room and bathroom setup, and you can kind of see like how, an at-home environment is. We're going to simulate that in a space so that paramedics or EMTs can train getting a gurney from a bathroom through a living room, out a front door, and navigating that into an ambulance box that's going to have a simulated box that moves and shakes, and then they have to figure out how to train and in a moving scenario, transporting somebody from their home to a hospital. This project is actually in construction right now, and we've just started moving through the demolition and abatement piece of this project. The building will remain in its historic context, so no major renovations to the exterior other than giving it some new life through some much needed new windows, building enclosure, and new roof. All right, next up, Science A renovation. Science A is a building that was built in over 2 decades. So we have 1950s, half of it, and then the other half was built in 1960s. It's over time has created some pretty major maintenance issues for us as far as the HVAC system goes. So we knew up front that when we were going to tackle Science A renovation, that we really needed to hit the building infrastructure. This building has really good bones altogether, so we plan on hitting a select amount of renovations throughout the spaces. So our primary focus on Science A renovation is going to be the infrastructure of the project. We're looking at doing mechanical, electrical. We need to add fire sprinklers to this building. It currently does not have that type of a system in it. We're going to enhance the accessibility. We need to add a new elevator. So a lot of this first initial phase is going to be in bolstering the infrastructure of the building. And then as additional funding comes along, we'll start hitting more of the tenant improvements within the building. We can go to the next slide and just kind of showcase some of the ideas of how we're going to refresh this aged building and bring in some more materials and so just some changes that kind of give it a little bit of new life. So just examples of some renderings here of some renovated lab space, replacing ceilings and lightings, just making the facility more modern and current for our modern day student. Also, like ENT, trying to make spaces for students to gather informally outside of the classroom, which this building really has none of that right now. It's just all classrooms, just all stacked in there. There's not a lot of breathing room outside of the classroom to have those informal spaces. So we're looking forward to being able to add some of that in. Okay, next one. We have a pretty major microgrid and solar canopy project that we're working on our campus. This is so that we can island from PG&E if needed, and then maintain services to our campus in the case of a power outage. Also, we'll reduce our bills and our rates by generating our own electricity and having the battery resource. So right now we're working on the battery yard, which is just north of facilities. And soon to come will be additional PVs on buildings, and we'll start seeing them be erected in some of the parking lots kind of on the southern half of the campus. We can go to the next one. All right, and a future project that we have been working on the site clearing for is our health, dining, and housing project. And this will be the last or the major Polytechnic funded projects. And this project is intended to create a community, kind of a triangular community of housing, dining, and our health services on our campus. And so this would relocate the health center from its current location. There would be 2 floors of health on this project. And then below that, on the lowest floor, dining. So that's in the building on the right-hand side. And then in addition to that, be 400 plus beds of housing on the west side. This project's currently on hold. And we're really hoping that the increase in student population and the filling up the Hinar Humalik will help support this project and the future build out of this. But this project is very, I think, will be a much needed project on our campus. I'm really looking forward to seeing this one through. Our health facilities, while they do a great job at where they're at, are definitely deserving of some improvements and some additional square footage to run all of the programs that they're running on our campus. So this is really, a great opportunity for us to improve kind of the southern part of the campus, add another kind of food element to the south end of the campus as well. It's a little bit of a food desert on this side of campus, so this would help improve a lot of things. I didn't mention, so this is the site where we're planning on building. This is where ceramics and sculptures had been. So we have removed those buildings, and we did take down Campus Apartments building, which was situated on the hill, kind of where that dashed line is and that angle. That's where that project was. So we're planning on putting a little park up at the top of that hill. It's become a nice viewing area from where we removed the Campus Apartments and took down some of the trees. And so now the logs are nestled in the hillside, and we do plan on, again, putting a park up there for a nice viewing area, and we'll have some dedicated slack line area for our students as well. And I believe I ran through my slides. Just a little blurb here. We do a lot of historic building restorations, new housing, our academic facility upgrades, and infrastructure. This is our commitment in planning, design, and construction to the students and the student success of our university. And it's just as much projects that we have going on. My team and myself are really happy to be a part of the growth of the Polytechnic.
Thank you so much, Cassidy, and thank you to all our presenters who joined us today. At this time, we do have a little bit of time for some questions if anybody wants to. We've also had some excellent conversation happening in the chat, so thank you for everyone who's asking wonderful questions, and thank you for all of our lovely folks who are answering in here. But if we have any other questions, I think we could go ahead and unmute at this moment and ask if you still have anything.
So everybody had a chance. I asked the question of what is the vision of where we want to be and what kind of students we actually wish to create. Is that articulated anywhere? Hello?
And what I will say is, just so everyone knows, Shawna, Interim Provost, Shawna did have to run to another meeting, so she is no longer able to join us for the rest of our chat, but if we have somebody else from leadership that wants to answer.
So that is definitely a provost level and president level question. What I would say is to draw our attention to the comment that Provost Young put in the chat before she had to leave. We did have very deep conversations in the preparation to write the Polytechnic Perspectives about what would be the unique vision of Cal Poly Humboldt. And how we would be a distinct polytech that leaned on our existing strengths. So we weren't going to completely become a brand new institution because we became a polytech. And like I said, a while ago, one of the things about why we got the Polytech designation was because it was clear that we were already a Polytech in name only. Sorry, no, the other way around. Already a Polytech in all but name. That's what I wanted to say. So I think all of the characteristics that have defined Humboldt for decades, whether it is our focus on experiential and hands-on learning, whether it is our deep commitment to interdisciplinarity and the ways in which we cross colleges, we try to break down silos between academic departments where, you know, our art faculty and our science faculty are working together and collaboratively. It's also rooted in our connection to community, and particular connection to tribal communities. And so our faculty will talk to you about the idea of the poly TEK, and the connection to traditional ecological knowledge. So all of those are features that we identified in our early planning of Polytech that are already in Humboldt's DNA, but that we really wanted to highlight as parts of what we're going to make us distinctive as a Polytech, as we kind of pivoted to Polytech. What Shawna also put in the chat, and what I think is also important, is our accreditors last week, one of the lines of inquiry I mentioned earlier was specifically about our Polytechnic vision, and how that was going, you know, how we were following through on that. And really, Jane echoed in a lot of ways the question that you put in the chat. We have a new president now. We have a lot of leadership changes, and we also realized as part of our accreditation visit that our last strategic plan was from, it's not that this was a brand new realization last week, just to be clear, but it again, the accreditation visit helped crystallize some things, as has our new president. Our last strategic plan as an institution was from prior to our Polytech transformation. So if you look at that, you know, it doesn't say the words Polytech in it. And it also is scheduled to expire regardless in 2026. I think it's 26. And you know, the Polytech prospectus came along and in many ways kind of supplanted that strategic plan. So we need a new strategic plan as an institution, and one that really asks these big questions that you're asking about. What is our vision as an institution? How has our vision evolved and changed and transformed as a result of our Polytechnic transformation? And our new president has signaled that this is the job of, you know, this is what we're going to be doing next year. And he's already sort of started some of the very beginning parts of that process. And it's very clear that that's going to be an all-campus affair. It's going to be very participatory, very collaborative. I am quite sure it will also involve reaching out to the community and to everyone who cares about this institution. So what I would say is that stay tuned as well, because this is clearly a big part of our institutional work next year.
Thank you, Heather. I did find that many of my questions and other people's questions that were raised were answered in the context of the chat, and that was very, very good. Is there anything anybody would like to add in terms of questions? I'm not going to go through each of these questions because for the most part they were addressed in the chat. I would encourage everybody who's still here to look at those and get those responses. Are there any other active questions anybody wants to ask at the moment? Yes, no, no. Then I really,
I just want to point out that Heather also shared the link for Idea Fest in the chat. And that is a really great opportunity to see what the students are actively working on here on campus, and it's open to the public. And it's just a really great event that showcases all the hard work the students are putting in. So if you have the opportunity or desire to be involved or see that, it's a great chance to really connect with students.
how does that work? I mean, where is it specifically located, and where can we park? Is it on a weekend?
Heather, correct me if I'm wrong, but takes place in the library, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, so it takes place in the campus library, and I believe it's a Friday. I don't know if it goes longer than that.
So
no, it's one day.
One day event.
Yeah. One day. Okay, so they have basically their displays talking about what they're doing. Is that how that works?
Yes, they make like poster presentations about their research and what they've been working on over the course of either the semester or sometimes their senior seminar projects, or it's something that could take them a year more. So they'll present on all of the kind of culminating work that they've been doing as students.
That's great. Are they all encouraged to participate?
I believe a lot of students are encouraged to participate. Some majors send a lot of students to Idea Fest, and then other majors maybe less so.
Great.
And if you look at the link that Sehi put in the chat as well, another thing that's always really enjoyable about Idea Fest is the various performances and some kind of related tours that happen.
Yeah.
So it's always a highlight for me to watch the dance performances, and then there's the sculpture walk that leads in that. Sometimes there's connection to the student gallery show and all sorts of other stuff. So it's always a really kind of active and vital time on campus, in addition to the poster presentations and all that.
What time of day does it occur? What are the hours?
Starts at noon and ends around 6 p.m. on Friday.
Oh, great. Thank you. Well, thank you all for putting all this information out for us. It was very helpful. And fortunately, anybody who's missed it can come back and catch it in another day or two. And I want to mention that next week we are having our final brown bag lunch with Alicia Goldsworthy on contemporary forest management. She's the communications manager for Green Diamond. And you come and learn how the timber industry has changed forestry practices to address contemporary concerns about wildfires, endangered species, forest management, and changing social values as they relate to growing and maintaining healthy forests. We look forward to seeing you again. We appreciate your support of the OLLI Brown Bag Lunch program and of OLLI overall. And we look forward to more community engagement in the future. Thank you so much for what you're all doing. You had great presentations. That was very helpful.
Thank you all. We hope you have a great week. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rain.
Thanks, everybody.